There's a side of human nature most people fear to explore, a place where love, power, and manipulation are all the same language, spoken with different tones. It's called dark psychology, and no one mastered its silent grammar better than Niccolo Machiavelli. He understood something most men never will, that attraction isn't born from beauty or luck or money. It's born from control. The kind of control that doesn't show itself through dominance, but through presence, through the art of shaping perception itself.
In Machiavelli's world, seduction was never about emotion. It was strategy disguised as passion. Every word a test, every silence a mirror, every gesture a seed planted deep within the mind of the target. The dirtiest method he taught wasn't how to flatter or how to touch. It was how to bend reality, to make her believe you were the answer to questions she never dared to ask. You don't chase her. You design her attraction to you. You enter her world quietly, studying her fears, her insecurities, her patterns of desire, until you know her emotional landscape better than she does. Then you become the storm that perfectly fits her sky. You shape your tone, your silence, your timing with surgical precision. You're not seducing her body, you're seducing her perception of you.
The secret isn't to overwhelm her, it's to haunt her thoughts. You withdraw when she expects attention, and you appear when she least expects you. You let silence speak louder than confession. You use mystery as your sharpest weapon, because in the absence of answers, her imagination will build a version of you far greater than reality.
This is not love in the pure sense. This is psychological seduction, the Machiavellian form of desire. It's not about making someone fall for you. It's about guiding them into falling for the version of you that you crafted in their mind. When she thinks of you and feels both fascination and fear, that's when you've crossed the line between affection and domination. That is Machiavelli's dirtiest method. Not violence, not charm, but influence. Pure, invisible, and irreversible.
Every Machiavellian seduction begins long before the first word is spoken. It starts in silence, in observation. The true manipulator studies before he acts. He watches her gestures, the rhythm of her laughter, the way her eyes drift when she's lost in thought. He doesn't rush. He collects fragments, emotional cues, hidden insecurities, secret desires, like a chess player memorizing the board before his first move. Because in this game, knowledge is power, and patience is the weapon that kills faster than desire. He knows that most men expose their hunger too early. They compliment, they chase, they reveal their cards, but the Machiavellian man does the opposite. He becomes a reflection. When she's strong, he admires her strength. When she's vulnerable, he becomes her calm. When she seeks validation, he gives silence that forces her to seek it harder. Every gesture he makes is designed to create a contrast, a space she feels compelled to fill. The setup phase is psychological engineering. It's about constructing an emotional maze where she feels seen, understood, and slightly off balance. You don't try to make her happy, you make her curious. You give her the illusion of choice while secretly guiding every path she takes toward you. This is where seduction becomes art, not through lust, but through orchestration. Because the truth is, in dark psychology, attraction is never random. It's scripted, planned, executed with precision. The Machiavellian man doesn't fall in love, he designs the experience of being loved. The most powerful weapon in Machiavellian seduction is not dominance, it's mirroring. The ability to become what she already desires without her realizing it. The manipulator listens more than he speaks. He studies her opinions, her tone, her beliefs, and then subtly reflects them back. When she speaks about dreams, he shares similar dreams. When she reveals pain, he recalls a wound that feels identical. Slowly, she begins to feel a strange familiarity, as if she's known him forever. But it's not fate, it's engineering.
As the connection deepens, he mirrors not only her words, but her energy. When she's excited, his eyes light up. When she grows distant, he grows quieter. He adapts, molds, and synchronizes. It's an emotional dance where she leads without knowing she's being led. This synchronization creates trust, the most dangerous illusion of all. Because trust is the door that opens the mind to manipulation.
By the time she realizes it, the bond feels unbreakable because she's not falling for him, she's falling for her own reflection in him. Every compliment he gives feels earned. Every silence feels meaningful. She believes she's finally found someone who understands her, when in truth, he only mirrored what she already wanted to believe. This is how Machiavelli turned empathy into strategy, transforming human connection into control.
Once the mirror is built and trust is forged, the Machiavellian seducer pulls the strings tighter. This is the moment when emotion turns into obsession, not through force, but through absence, inconsistency, and reward. He gives her glimpses of warmth, then withdraws into cold silence. He makes her laugh, then leaves her wondering why he disappeared. Every disappearance becomes a trigger. Every return feels like oxygen after drowning. She begins to crave not him, but the emotional high he gives her. That's the secret. Addiction disguised as affection. He becomes unpredictable on purpose. When she expects comfort, he gives distance. When she loses hope, he returns with tenderness. It's a calculated rhythm, pleasure, then withdrawal, that keeps her emotionally unstable yet deeply attached. The more she tries to understand him, the more she's trapped in the maze he built. Because the human mind doesn't crave comfort, it craves resolution. And when she can't find it, she keeps coming back, searching for it in him. In dark psychology, this is the hook. Not physical, but psychological. Not romantic, but chemical. He becomes a storm she can't resist because he's rewired her emotions to associate chaos with love. She doesn't realize it yet, but her heart is no longer hers. It beats to the rhythm he conducts.
Once the emotional hook is set, the game evolves into its final and darkest stage, control. At this point, she's no longer questioning his intentions, she's questioning herself. He subtly shifts the power dynamic until she seeks his approval for everything: her mood, her confidence, even her perception of reality. He doesn't need to demand loyalty. She gives it freely, fearing that losing him means losing the version of herself he created. That's the brilliance of Machiavellian control. It feels voluntary, even when it's manipulation. He begins to rewrite her emotional script. When she expresses independence, he rewards her with validation. When she doubts him, he withdraws affection, leaving her desperate for reconciliation. Slowly, she learns to associate his approval with peace, and his silence with pain. Without noticing, she's conditioned, not by threat, but by psychological reinforcement. This is how love becomes dependence and affection becomes authority.
There comes a moment in every Machiavellian seduction when illusion
becomes indistinguishable from love. She no longer remembers where it began, the first compliment, the first silence, the first carefully crafted moment of vulnerability. All she knows now is the feeling, the warmth when he's near, the ache when he's gone, the rush of adrenaline every time his name appears on her screen. It's not real love, it's the simulation of love, engineered so precisely that even pain feels meaningful. That's the breaking point, when her logic collapses under the weight of emotion. The manipulator has achieved his masterpiece. She defends him even when he's the reason she's breaking. She justifies every absence, every cold response, every subtle cruelty, because her mind now equates suffering with passion. This is where dark psychology reveals its most terrifying truth, that the human heart will cling to illusion even when it knows it's being destroyed by it. He no longer needs to manipulate. The system is already running. She does it herself, replaying his words, chasing his approval, reliving every moment that once made her feel special. The game no longer requires a player, only memory. And in that memory, he lives rent-free, not as a man, but as an emotion.
Every illusion eventually collapses, even the most beautiful ones. When the fog of manipulation finally lifts, she awakens to the wreckage of what she thought was love. The silence that once felt mysterious now feels hollow. The words that once thrilled her now echo with hidden meaning. She looks back and realizes she was never truly seen, only studied. Her emotions were not cherished, but used. What she mistook for destiny was a design, and what she believed was connection was control wearing the mask of affection. The Machiavellian seducer has already moved on, not because he doesn't care, but because caring was never the purpose. To him, emotion was currency, and she was an experiment in influence. He leaves behind confusion, nostalgia, and a haunting presence that lingers like a perfume in an empty room. She'll try to forget him, but forgetting someone who made you question your own reality is never easy. The scars remain, invisible, psychological, and deeper than any physical wound. And that's the true cruelty of Machiavellian love. It doesn't destroy the heart, it rewires it. It teaches the victim to distrust passion, to fear vulnerability, to see manipulation where once there was intimacy. What remains is a colder version of love, cautious, guarded, haunted. For the manipulator, it's victory. For the victim, it's rebirth through ruin. Because every dark connection must end the same way. Not with closure, but with awakening.
In the end, what Machiavelli taught the world wasn't how to love, but how to use love. He revealed that emotions could be tools, that attraction could be engineered, and that even the purest heart can be turned into a puppet if you learn which strings to pull. His legacy is not romance, it's realism, the brutal understanding that the human mind is far easier to seduce than the body. Dark psychology doesn't create monsters, it exposes the ones already hiding within us. The desire to control, to be admired, to win affection, these are not foreign instincts. They are ancient, coded into the very core of our nature. The Machiavellian simply dares to use them consciously. He doesn't play the game of love, he writes it. And in so doing, he reminds us of a truth both dangerous and divine, that the boundary between love and manipulation is as thin as a whisper. So beware of the ones who seem to know you too well, who mirror your soul too perfectly, who make silence feel sacred, because in the quiet between their words may lie a strategy older than time, the art of control disguised as connection. Love can heal, but in the wrong hands, it can also enslave. And in that shadowed space between affection and authority, Machiavelli still smiles.